Live from AWS reInvent in Las Vegas, I speak to Teresa Carlson, AWS Vice President. Tell me a bit about what you do for AWS.
Well, my role at AWS is I run a business group called Worldwide Public Sector. And Jeff, what that includes is anything government, anything education, and then not-for-profits, as well as like tech education companies and large system integrators that primarily work with government contracting. So a really interesting group of customers.
How are you finding adoption of the cloud in government?
It's going very well. We're about 3 years in, starting, 3 years with this public sector marketplace, and it's going very well. In fact, we really started in the U.S., and in the U.S. they've had like a 4-part model for adoption. I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but they really had something called a cloud-first policy that the former CIO implemented. Then they had something that NIST worked on and defined what cloud was. From there, they did something called FedRAMP for the compliance, and then they went right into acquisition. So we really are in phase 4 in the U.S., and it's going very well. We have really over 600 customers today, and probably more than that.
Is there one particular aspect of the cloud that you could point to and say, this is why federal customers are adopting it in large scale?
Absolutely. The early adopters of it truly has been agility and scalability. And then the third, of course, is saving money. But really, I think the saving money was not as important to them as scale and the rapid ability to get their application up and going. Once you go from there and you get into more complicated applications, security is always their #1 concern. But believe it or not, how I can personally tell that our adoption has moved forward is they're not asking about security anymore as the top issue.
What is the top issue that they ask about now?
The top issue today is acquisition. That's the phase 4 that I was talking about. They're like, how do we acquire you in big ways?
So it's really, how do we actually go about doing it then?
That's right, that's right.
Now, knowing that you said you have many hundreds of customers, is there one particular customer you could point out and say, this is kind of typical of the kinds of things they're doing on the cloud?
Yeah, it's hard for me to choose because I love all my customers and they are really doing amazing things. But one that I'll probably highlight in this discussion is our Department of Health and Human Services, which is part of the U.S. federal government. And the reason I'll highlight them is we actually went through FedRAMP with that customer, as well as they're running over 70 workloads with us today. And those range in everything to just pure website hosting to really large data analytics and also collaboration types of solutions that they do. So one good example that I'll share with you is something that we call the CDC BioSense for the Centers for Disease Control. And that's a solution that they were struggling with because what they do is every health official has access to that site and they can go in and put information about disease or influenza, things that they are looking at and tracking across the U.S. But now what they can do is add the big data analytics on top of it to do the sorting and really understand what's going on with disease management or flu or areas that are of concern across the U.S. in terms of health issues.
In other words, way, way, way beyond simply just web hosting.
Oh, exactly. It's, as you can see, it becomes additive almost as you go on, and they'll add workloads on top of something that they're actually already doing then.
You also mentioned education. What's happening in that space?
Education to me is truly the most important vertical market that there is, and here's why. We have to be out there influencing those very young students to the ones that are more mature and looking for what their next career is. But I want to share something that we're doing, Jeff, that I just love. We're really out there working with higher ed universities and working with them on their curriculum. So they're actually changing their curriculum tracks, and they're now adding AWS into their curriculum so they can learn the new DevOps model. So when their students graduate with an engineering degree, they have either an AWS certificate or they have knowledge of how to do that. And then on the business side, they're teaching their business students how to use the big data tools to make decision making. So it is really, again, the new world model of how you think about IT and business actually working together. So to me, if we can really influence that at AWS, we are doing something groundbreaking.
Now, being here at reInvent, any particular sessions or activities have kind of caught your eye and things that you spend a lot of time on?
Well, I have to talk about the breakfast session that we had for the public sector. We had that on Wednesday morning, and we had over 600 customers. It was a packed house, and we had 4 customers up and doing amazing case studies, everything from NASA JPL through the Center for Democracy. We had FDA talking about the research they're doing on drug safety and food safety for awareness, as well as autism research from the University of Chicago and proton cancer research. And just, it's really all been about the customer. Andy Jassy said, you know, this is a learning conference. This is not a sales and marketing conference. And it is really true. Everybody, there's a buzz, there's an excitement going on. And I saw somebody walking around in a karate suit earlier. So everything from flip-flops to suits to karate suits.
Well, I really enjoyed you taking this time to speak with us, and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's my pleasure.